Welcome to our European Championships Battle of the Cars, Classics versus Modern. And we're going to pick out a number of European countries, we're going to assign cars to those countries, and then we're going to decide whether classic or modern. My name's Mathew, Priddy at Historics Auctioneers, but today we have a special guest. Bav from Yiannimize, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
How are you doing?
Good.
Good, nice trip in?
The sun's out.
Yes, and you've got the unerring responsibility of supporting modern cars in this European Championship in the home of classic cars.
Absolutely.
So you're on the way, you're in the away ground.
Unfortunately. Well, it could work as an advantage, you never know.
Might do. We might be polite because you're our guest.
Don't be polite.
Won't be.
So, tell me a little bit about yourself and about Yiannimize, for anyone that hasn't already seen you on YouTube, which I'm sure they have, of course.
Yes, so Yiannimize, born and bred wrapping cars, changing the colour of cars and customisation. And then we've evolved in doing, rallies and tours and events. So we're, everywhere and anything to do with cars.
Anything, and that's a good thing to be, though, isn't it? It's almost become a media concern, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got our own TV show. We're obviously on YouTube and all other social media channels. So, but it's all focused around cars.
As we like.
And the love of.
Yeah, and you're doing so much that you should be sat in this chair and I can be sat and relaxed and you can chair, and that's easier, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be.
So, as I said, what we're going to do is we're going to draw out a number of countries now. Those countries will be assigned classics or moderns, and Fraser will argue for the classic, you will argue for the modern. Now, the cars have already been assigned, should I say, so you have to fight your corner a little bit. You don't get the choice.
Okay.
So we'll see how that goes. So let's just pull out my magic hat here. Okay, so first pick to our visitor, of course. What have we got?
Italy.
Ooh, Italy. Strong start. Fraser?
Germany.
Oh,
Germany.
Big guns in the group stages.
Already?
Big guns. Okay, so for Italy and Germany, cars already assigned.
Yeah.
So
tell me it's a Lamborghini.
It's not a Lamborghini. Sorry.
Uh-oh.
You've got for modern the Ferrari 488 GTB.
Okay.
Strong
right.
contender. And for the Germans, non-Porsche, we've got BMW CSL. You got a story about a BMW CSL, haven't you?
Yeah. As far as I know, I will check this later.
As far
as I know, I won't promise it. It's what I came home from the hospital in.
Right.
Dad had 6 or 7 of them, so you're going to need to bring your A game. Yeah.
Right, okay, then we'll pretty go with these because we want to get through the whole group stages. So, what do you think? 488, give me a quick sort of overline. Why would you think that would be top trumps, really?
That car is, you can get in that car all day, every day, right?
Yes.
So that car, great boot space, great car. Yes, I know it's the whole, the engine and the turbos and everything else that was all mixed in.
Was it the first mid-engine that was
Correct.
Since the F40 that was turbocharged? Is that right?
Yeah, and I think it's the predecessor of the 458.
Yeah,
right? So
it's always
but you can drive it every day.
So it's a bit
All day, every
911,
day.
bit 911 like for a
indeed.
Ferrari.
Yeah.
Okay, and I do like. I think it's pretty, and it feels that smaller niche of sort of a bit more light, agile Ferrari feeling.
And it is quick. Let's be brutally honest.
It
It
is
is very
brutally
quick.
Brutally quick.
But and if you put it in a beautiful red with crema interior, you're laughing.
Yeah,
You're in. You're winning.
So it's the midlife crisis or the CSL. What have you got?
Well, 3 litre CSL. It's probably one of the coolest BMWs ever made. The whole background to it was just typical. Go racing on Sunday, win, sell them on Monday. They had to build them purely so they could race a
Homologated
CSL.
car, wasn't it? Yeah. Which is why it's so collectible.
Yeah. Now, all of the German ones were really extreme. No bumpers, nothing really, as light as they can make them. We only got 500 in the UK.
Yep.
They did dress them up a bit to sell
fatter,
them.
weren't they?
Yeah, they were so expensive. I mean, they were the same sort of price as a 2.7 RS Porsche and cars like that. They were big money, so they couldn't really sell them, to be honest. But
We'll save some of this. I think of the two.
But hold on a second.
Go on.
When that car first came out, no one wanted it.
yeah,
No one wanted to buy it.
As with some of the best classics ever. Aren't they?
Everyone was like, "No, I'm
didn't
not."
know how lucky
Listen,
they
it's stripped out. There's nothing in it. You know, I'm paying top dollar. It was big money,
It
right?
was
Like you
really
said, big money.
Big money, yeah.
And no one wanted it.
Yeah.
So the average BMW, not average, but the BMW owners were like, "Don't want that."
Yeah.
And now look at it.
yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen one on the road unless I've been at a show or something. I sort of grew up in one, so I kind of appreciate what they were.
You bought home in one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, I kind of appreciate what they were, but yeah, to be honest, I don't think it gets much cooler from a BMW. So, and I'm a BMW nerd.
So as we move on, have you convinced either one of you to the other side, or are you firmly thinking the Ferrari modern, or do you think the Classic may have the nudge on this one?
I'm going with the 50-year-old BMW rust bucket, personally.
Do you know something?
I think on this one, I think the BMW's
Yeah,
credentials
I hate
may
to- yeah,
pull it a
I
little
think
bit, isn't it?
you're right.
And I do like the 488. I do think
Yeah?
I think it's.
I wouldn't say no to one.
I know, and at car events and things that I go to,
Yeah.
they're not going to the 488, are they? Let's be brutally honest. They're going.
I think that's maybe a bit of a trump card there, that the CSL was a particularly special version of a car, whereas the 488, we're talking about the standard, the 488 GT. This sort of, we're not talking about the special incarnations. So,
No.
okay, this round goes to Germany. Okay, second group match. Guys, I think this time we'll go Fraser first.
France.
French, okay, they've got some nice cars coming from France.
Yeah.
It's classic.
I've been stitched up.
What have you got?
Spain.
Oh,
I'll rest my
struggle
case.
here.
I'm
you're going to
rest-
struggle.
This is going to be interesting. What you've
So
got lined up for Spain?
We have okay, so France, not surprising, with one sat right behind you, you have Facel Vega.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh. This is almost like a gimme. You've got the Seat Cupra Fermentador.
A what?
2-0.
Oh,
I'll tell you
Fraser.
what. Fraser, tell us a little bit about the Facel, just to try and make it worthwhile. Just briefly. I don't think there's much of a competition on this one. I think you've turned up with 9 men.
Well, we've got one behind us. It's one of the cars, when it comes into the office, everybody can't help but love it, really.
It's the rarity,
They're
isn't
just
it?
so outrageous.
Yeah.
They're extremely expensive when they're new, equivalent of probably 150 grand today, but 150 grand back then was a lot more than it's today.
Well, we've got an
in retrospect. Yeah.
American V8 up front, French
V8.
design.
Yeah, wacky. Probably one of the hardest cars to restore. You can't get anything for them.
Yep.
Yeah, nightmare. But
Well, I
everybody
think
does love
save any more, because I dare say it. Say it Fermentador. I think from memory, I see a few on the motorways. They're a bit like a.
What motorways did you see them on?
I think like a Volkswagen Golf, but slightly different style, cheaper, 250 brake.
Lost me.
Win France. There's 2-0.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got those two going through to the next stage.
And on a matter of interest, have you driven?
Yeah, I haven't gone
Have you?
far in them.
Okay. And what's it like?
It's like a V8 in a saloon car.
It's a lot of this stuff. You just need to plan your braking,
Okay.
plan your steering, plan your journey well.
Looks cool though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what it's all about.
Yeah,
Although I did notice it's built in Paris, and the turning circle would be a nightmare in Paris.
Oh, you don't
You'd get
turn
stuck.
around. You just make other people
No, I
move.
think you get someone to move it
Yeah,
for
of course.
you.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the Facel. It's the Rolls Royce of of the French Parisian upper classes.
But that's so cool.
Okay, so this round, France progress, and Spain, not surprisingly, are out. Okay, next up in the group stages, guys. This time, back over to you, Bav. What have we picked?
Sweden.
Sweden. Ah, well, we can pretty much see where that's going, I think.
Yes.
Volvo, yeah.
England.
Right. English
Challenge
versus
accepted.
Swedish.
Okay.
So we have, cars-wise, not surprising, I suppose you've got the E-Type.
Yep.
There's plenty to talk about that one.
I haven't got Volvo, have I?
You haven't got Volvo.
I've got eggs.
You've not been completely
Have I got
eased
eggs?
up. You've Koenigseggs.
Yes.
And you've got the Koenigsegg Jesko.
Oh, Romeo
They've
done.
only just got those cars delivered really in the last
Yeah.
sort of 6 to 8 months, haven't they? So
Yeah.
that's pretty fresh.
Have you had one in yet?
No, we haven't. No, but I saw one. I was with Koenigsegg London, and they had one out on display. And what a car!
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
That is a rear wing, which is coming on, but it's quite a.
Not sure they
eyeful,
do those
isn't
on a
it? Yeah.
company car scheme, do they?
No, Fraser, no. I don't think the P11D on that would be quite worthwhile, to be honest
No.
with you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you start off E-Type. I mean, we know everything there is to know about E-Types, and many of our viewers will.
Yeah.
Brief overview. Why should an E-Type be a Koenigsegg Jesko?
I think the number one line that would come to most people's head, Enzo Ferrari, who everybody loves, said it is the most beautiful car ever, and he
knows what he was talking about.
I would say he's quite qualified. Yeah. They made over 70,000 of them, which is quite a good. They were doing something right, weren't they? We've dealt with loads of them, and when they're nice, they're just as good as some Ferraris that are 10 times the price.
Okay.
Frankly.
Now over to the Koenigsegg. Now I think there's a statement for the argument that we had with the CSL here, because there's lots of E-types.
Yes.
And the most special of the E-types are only really special because they're very, very early E-types.
Yep.
Whereas Koenigseggs, they don't make a lot of those.
No, I've been to the factory and they don't make a lot of Koenigsegg full stop,
No.
right? So they're very rare, very exclusive, and very expensive.
Well, I think the Jesko, they actually, from what I read, that was released at the Geneva Motor Show in 19, sold their entire allocation by the end of the show.
Really?
Not surprised.
That
Sold 6
That's
cars.
done. Yeah. And I said they've only just got the delivery. Now,
They're amazing. I mean,
this is,
those are a
I think
Pagani
this
or
is
something.
sacrilegious. I generally think, and again, same philosophy with the CSL. There's a lot of E-types. Now, okay, we may be a little bit stayed to this because we see them all the time. And I'm sure a lot of people will say that's absolutely crazy. But I'd bump for the Koenigsegg on this one because I think it's a special small production car.
It is. And so when you're getting E-types in, what's the value range that you get in? What's the
They can range from 25, 30 grand to 200 grand.
Yeah, I mean the most one of the few top ends will be sort of £500,000 quid, but they don't really because there's too many. They're not that niche.
You can almost
and
pick,
again,
if you decide you want a Series 1 E-Type Roadster, you can almost go and pick which colour you want.
Oh, really? They're that available?
Yeah, there's because they've always been quite special. They're sort of the go-to car that people restore, really.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them.
Whereas you're always going to be really in a massive queue for something like that. So I think on the basis that it's difficult to say this now, but think about that as the Koenigsegg now, think of it in 60, 70 years' time and how rare that is.
Yeah.
That would then become, I think, a far more valuable, attractive commodity to someone. Yeah. So I think in this instance, and you have to shoot us down in the comments here, I would personally favour
I'm going to
Sweden.
concede this one. I'm going to concede this one.
2-1 it is.
Yeah.
then.
You've managed to get one over the line
there
there.
you
So
go.
Sweden, well done. So Sweden progressed through to the next round. Okay, final group match. Now, you've had 2 to pick first, Fraser. You've had 1. So let's go with yourself. And what have you got?
Netherlands.
Okay. Trying to think.
Not
what that
sport
would
for
be.
choice in the Netherlands, to be honest. Not sport for choice.
Denmark.
Oh, crikey. Right, what have we got for those? Let's have a quick look. So, allocated cars for... You've got the Spiker C8.
Nice. Yeah. Quite a wacky car.
Very wacky.
Yeah.
Versus the Zenvo TSR-S. Something I've only ever read about in magazines, and I do recall has the most ludicrous rear wing.
I saw one.
Did you? Where have you seen that?
Schmee's garage.
Yeah.
Really?
He's got one.
They're quite...
It is awesome. It's worth a fortune, right? It's worth 1.5 million pounds.
It's one of those, I call them, they're not like real cars, are they? They're sort of hypercars, almost bespoke built, aren't they? There's only a few of them. Because
and the wing does all of that.
All crazy stuff.
It is mental.
And only a handful of motoring journalists even get to drive them, I suppose. So,
and I've seen it up close and personal, and it is epic.
Is it? Is that wing as ludicrous as it looks in photos?
Yes.
The Spiker's not shy itself.
No, I've always loved the Spiker. It's got the engine out of an Audi R8, so you can't really go too far wrong. Really, they're quite reliable. But I think the main sort of party piece of them is the interior. It's a modern look of, it looks like a car from the 20s.
I've referred to it as a car that was designed by an interior designer because in some instances the outside's a bit strange in the way that it sort of doesn't seem to have that strange. I don't know how to put it. It sort of slabs down, but once you get inside, that gearbox is very pretty.
And the steering wheel is like a really old, like pre-war style cross-spoke steering wheel. It's like you're in an aeroplane.
Well, they were an old coach builder for many, many years, way before the 19th century, and then they built planes, I think, in world, and then disappeared.
Yeah,
and then someone just revived the name.
But I saw one in a film somewhere. I can't remember what film it was, and they had a Spiker in there.
Oh, whatever it is,
We'll
find
that out.
Find that out for us and pop in the comments. We know, but I'd like a Spiker. I think they're a bit niche.
Oh yeah, they're one of those cars that they're a lot of money, and there's typically not a lot of people queuing up.
Certainly a modern classic. This is really pushing the bounds because we sold a few, so it qualifies, but it's definitely a more modern classic.
Yeah.
And we sold a few, and they've been quite well seen by collectors. I don't think probably quite as special as the Zendo. Oh, that thing's.
But let me ask you a question. What denotes a classic? What age are we looking at classics?
Well,
It's hard. That's hard.
Real classic. It becomes a bit sort of diluted because there's classics and there's collectibles, and us and lots of auction houses have that sort of thing where you'll sell collectibles at the same time as classics, and it's almost like a car that you'd expect to be a classic or is bought in the same realms as people that want to have these collectibles, these collections.
Yeah.
But if it talking a genuine classic,
I
you've got
sometimes
to
get
be.
people phone me and say, I've got a car to sell, but it might be too new. I'm like, no. There's no age limit. You know, if someone phoned up with a 488 Pista, we'd quite happily deal with stuff like that. It is a classic straight away. Really.
But that's quite interesting because you're saying there's a fundamental difference between collectible
Yeah.
and classic.
Yeah. The age thing does make it a classic, and usually a case of, sort of 40 years old and it's a classic. Sort of something along those lines. But there's obviously from there's modern classics and then there's more modern collectibles.
Yeah.
The ways in which they're bought and sold changes massively.
Yeah. And some cars, to be honest, they're a classic the second they're sold, aren't they?
Well, we know that because the value is going up, don't they? So okay, so modern classic or modern?
I'm going to have to find my corner, but you know, you might get the final say.
And what do you think?
It's got to be the Zenvo.
I'm going Zenvo.
It's got to be Zenvo.
Again, it's much more of a automotive artistry and something that's
who does that? Puts that wing on and then the actuators that go on it.
I would have liked to have been in the meeting when they suggested it because it's quite wacky.
I think it was just designed by someone's 7-year-old at home, so we should do that.
It makes the wing on the GT3 RS
look quite
tame.
subtle.
It looks subtle.
Oh, Jason Statham's War movie.
That's what it was.
Really? Oh, blimey.
Jackie Chan was in
man
there.
behind the camera there coming out with the stats on Google. Okay, so next section is the semi-finals. Now, the winner of match 1 was Germany with the 3-litre CSL, and the winner of match 2 was France with the Facel Vega. So we've got 2 classics.
Yep.
So you're going to put your classics hat on here.
Okay.
I think we've already got a winner here, but we'll try it out anyways. So we've got the beautiful Facel Vegas, the limousines of the rich and famous of the Europeans. I mean, there's a list as long as your arm of famous people that own Facel Vegas and were chauffeured around in Facel Vegas. They are epically beautiful. However,
they're not a 3-litre CSL though.
There's not many people that have come home from being born in a 3-litre CSL.
No,
maybe
right.
just 1 or 2.
Yeah, very unique people.
Yeah.
Did you actually know that the 3-litre CSL, in Germany, it was illegal to put the wing on?
Yeah, you used to buy it with the spoiler in the boot.
Why? Why was it legal?
Who knows? German rules.
A lot of them don't have the wing, but the Batmobiles, the proper ones with the wing, you would buy it with the spoiler in the boot, and you had to go and fit it yourself.
Oh, right, okay. So you're buying a car, and then you have to do yourself.
Yeah, all the aero stuff. Yeah, yes. It wasn't
That makes sense.
technically.
And of course, you're paying a premium.
Oh yeah.
Extra.
Yeah. The Germans are great at that. Yeah, they like that with the
love
Porsches,
that.
aren't they?
They know how to charge.
Yeah, we've got a lightened version. We've removed everything, so we're going to charge you some more
Cost
money.
us less to build it, so you are going to pay us 50 grand more. Yeah.
So I think over the 2, my vote would be I'd go with the CSL.
I'm agreeing with that.
And I love a Facel Vega.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah.
If I had them both in front of me with the keys, I'm driving the CSL home.
Yeah.
So CSL as a tournament favourite goes straight through to the final.
Yeah.
Now, in the other semi-final was 2 moderns.
Yeah.
And I think relatively similar in the same sort of way in which we were talking about them. So we've got the Jesko and we've got the Zenvo.
Yeah.
I know where I'm thinking.
Same.
Which one do you think?
Jesko.
You going Jesko?
Yes.
Jesko. In that case,
Koenigsegg.
we all agreed again.
There you go.
Koenigsegg.
So both semi-finals, we both think Jesko.
Yeah.
And we both think CSL.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Right. This is a genuine battle of the times for classic. And I'm now genuinely thinking this is quite tight between the 2. I understand the Jesko because I think if you were thinking about this 30, 40 years down the line, that would be definitely in the realms of classic cars.
Yes.
So I'm trying to put my head forward.
Yeah.
3-litre CSL is already there.
Yeah. And I think for this, you need to completely forget values because one's 80 grand and one is 3 million quid. So you need to completely forget the value and think, what would you rather get in and drive and go and get some breakfast at the weekend? And I know which I would choose.
Depends on where you're going for breakfast.
It does. It does.
Are we split? I think we're split, are we?
Let's be brutally honest. You'd want to get in a Jesko. It's out there. It's like...
They are extreme and they're amazing, but if I had to actually live with one and own one, I'm taking the CSL.
See, I'd like to drive to the venue in the CSL and drive home in the Jesko. How's that?
Yes, I agree with that.
The one thing I would say, the CSL has pedigree of this. And if we take the football terminology in this, it's already won 6 European championships.
Yeah.
So if it came down to the wire in a penalty shootout, it's got experience. It may well get over the line. Whereas the Jesko is the up and coming.
Yeah. But in the Eurovision Song Contest, they do very well.
Wow.
Taking it out of the football context.
Done his homework.
Yeah, he has, hasn't he? I think. Okay, if I cast a vote, I'll cast the vote.
Are you actually saying you want Germany to win this? Are you? Can we just put
no,
this,
you really put it on me.
Just putting it out there. Just putting it out
I think by a margin, I'd have to say the CSL at the moment. I think if we had this same conversation in 20 years' time, I think that margin becomes really tight, because I think at that point when we see them in the classic sphere, it may well have gone completely away. You're seeing Jesko's at 20 years, 40 years, at Pebble Beaches and things. Then it takes away.
A CSL and a Koenigsegg will never be the same value.
No, so they're never quite that easy to to really put one-on-one head-to-head.
But I just think, like, if I had a 3-litre CSL in front of me and someone said you can take it, I would really struggle to say no.
There we go.
Frankly.
Okay, so final verdict, and it was a very, very close one, is the Classics win by a hair. You're not taking it laying down.
No,
you're not
too happy with this one.
You know what it is? It's like if it was parked there.
I know it's very difficult to do that, because you've got to think of it as if it was parked there now and if it was parked there in 40 years and vice versa.
Yeah.
What would a 3-litre CSL look like today as well? Would we be thinking because as you say, they weren't particularly well thought of when they first came out.
I'd like to do, you know, when you put them out on the road,
Yeah.
literally get public to go.
I think what we need is
What would you pick?
we need a
Yeah,
friendly
like-
listener who happens to own a Koenigsegg Jesko to let us have a go.
Do you think we've got any friendly listeners?
I'm sure we can find
seen
one.
our comments.
We'll find a 3-litre CSL and we'll have to test them, won't we?
I've just bagged an E-Type on live on YouTube, but I don't think that's going to go so well. Okay, so we're just about going to fall on the CSL.
Yeah.
This brings me to a question I was going to ask you actually. With all the wrapping and things that you've grown the business on, do you get many classics?
Not very many, no. No, not at all, really, to be fair.
It's quite surprising, actually, because sometimes people might not want a certain colour, but they might not want to paint a classic because they want to keep it original. So wrapping it almost wouldn't be a crime, would it? You can just take it off.
We did get, we did wrap an F40.
I remember.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, and the comments. Oh, why have you done that? Why would you even do the job? And obviously it's the owner's, right to do whatever he wants to do with an F40.
And with what Fraser said, the owner's probably quite right. Didn't want to paint it. Because if he paints it and it still had original paint on it, although Ferrari paint's pretty thin, did it all stay on when it came off?
Yeah, it did actually. To be fair, it's but people were like, why would you do that to that car? It's sacrilege.
Yeah.
I don't see the problem, frankly. All you've got to do is take it back off.
Yeah, but the owner wanted to do it, so why not? I mean, that's not what I would do personally, but
we've seen a few on good examples on Silver Shadows, Rolls-Royce Silver Shadows, because a lot of those got used for sort of PR purposes. Some nightclub owners and so on. So you'd have one wrapped in bright gold, sit out front of the nightclub and let it rust away. And then some poor bugger would buy it afterwards, take the wrap off and find out that the wrap was the only thing holding the body back together.
Yeah, probably.
And I did wonder whether you'd get people doing that, because it's sort of it's hiding. If you buy a lot of classics, painting a car is an expensive
it's no
job.
mean feat.
Yeah, I mean, I always think that when you're buying a classic, you're committed. Financially, emotionally, you're committed to that car, right?
Yeah.
So, and you have to go in eyes wide open, really. Let's be brutally honest. Restoring these classics sometimes can be a expensive experience. So for me, we wrap more modern cars than anything else. More often than not. It's more often than not, it's modern cars that people want to change the colour, or they've bought a car, it's second hand, and they think, I like it and I want to change the colour. But also we have a lot of people that constantly change their colour because it's like buying a new car. It feels like a new car.
It's a bit different on their social media. And,
and they feel like they're getting in a new car.
Yeah, it makes sense. It does make a lot of sense, really, doesn't it?
And to be honest, we don't really see wrapped classic cars, but when you actually think about it, I really don't see the problem, frankly. You can just take it off.
Do you get many classic cars that have got PPF, like the paint protection film? Do you get that?
The more modern classics.
Oh, do you? So you get that? So people have protected the paint,
Yeah.
protected the car from stone chips.
Do you know what? We don't see it as much on the older classics.
No, which is surprising, actually.
Exactly that, because once you've fully restored a car, if you've fully restored an E-Type and it's cost you £150,000 to do, the one thing you find is, and you're a bit sort of, I don't want to take it out.
Don't want to drive it.
And we do get clients that said, I enjoyed the journey rather than the destination.
Yeah.
They've enjoyed storing it. They actually, it's almost too nice, and they don't really want to then go out and drive it, worried about stone chips and so on and so on, which is terrible. It's like, oh God, no, you've spent all this time and effort. Go and enjoy it. But they know full well, especially with classics, they only remain untouched, restored for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Because they just don't have the same rigidity, I suppose, as modern cars. So they're flexing them, they move as well as stone chips. So, yeah, you would have thought PPF is a good idea.
Yeah.
Just to preserve and allow that.
But surely, I mean, like most cars, even a classic, they need to be driven, right? They need to be turned. Their wheels need to
really badly as well.
Yeah.
If you don't drive them, most of the cars which are a problem, it tends to be because they've not been driven for 5 years. You know?
Right.
And then the ones that people drive every single day or every week are perfect.
Because you've got the fluids going through the pipes, you've got the heat going through it, etc. You know, you've got,
they don't leak. They don't. You know, it's just. Yeah.
But the thing is also even with modern cars, I can't stand people who don't drive their cars. I mean, I think if you buy a car, you should enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that sort of modern supercar philosophy or sports car philosophy sort of crept in the last sort of 10 years, where people were buying them and worrying so much about values that
people are so focused on mileage. This is the problem. They're so focused on the mileage.
We're seeing this hugely now in classics, and especially with the sort of the more modern classics becoming part of the market. The obsession with mileage is unhealthy. Yeah. Because people are searching out lower mileage, poorer cars, and they're making stronger values for a poorer car than the one sat next to it with 40,000 miles because they want the 20,000 mile car.
It's crazy.
So they'll buy the problems on this idea that the values continue to follow this trajectory of mileage. Yeah. But that brings us back to the points we're talking about those cars. Because cars are made in such greater numbers, it's trying to then narrow down the reason why they could be collectible. It's the reason why Ferrari, Lamborghini just keep bringing out different versions and smaller numbers of versions, is to keep those exclusive numbers.
Yeah.
And then the base cars sort of just exist underneath them.
I mean, I get it all the time, and people go, "Oh, how come you?" I mean, I've got a GT3 RS, the 992 GT3. I've had it a year now, and I've done just under 8,000 miles.
Perfect. Good.
And I drive it. And people go, "Wow, would you put so many miles on your car?" And I'm like, "Because I'm there to drive it."
I couldn't believe that over the weekend at the Nurburgring, they were literally. I couldn't believe how many people were there, and my friend was saying, "Well, this is obviously where people do actually use these things."
Literally what they're built for.
I must have seen 50 there on Saturday.
There's more in Europe than there is in the UK.
And I just thinking that's what they're built for. You know, what's the point in having that sat in the garage?
But you name dropping in the Nurburgring there, because he was there this weekend, brings me on to a question about a rally that you've organised.
Yeah, so we're doing the Yiannimize Grand Tour again.
Right. Yes.
We did it in 2019 from Marbella to London. So this year we reversed it. We're going from London. We're going from Mercedes-Benz World.
Local.
Next on Sunday the 23rd in the morning, from Mercedes-Benz World all the way to Marbella.
Right.
Brilliant. How many miles is that?
Go on.
2,200.
Nice.
Give or take.
Yeah.
So those people that drove over in 2019, what have they been doing since then?
Waiting patiently.
Some of the cars that are going over there, give us some highlights of the cars you've seen.
We've got everything from a Revelto to like a 911 to I think I've got an M2, an M3. So we've got a variety.
Is there any Seat Fermentadors in there?
No.
Oh, so you're missing it. That's the Spanish.
So we've got Porsches, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, got the whole mix. BMW's got the whole mix, and a whole mix of people.
And tell us about, so do you have stop-offs on the way? Is it a sort of a bit of a social thing, or is it
It's a very much a social thing. It's very much a networking thing. We've got some great, amazing people. We go from Weybridge to Paris to Geneva to Monaco.
Brilliant.
Nice.
We're at the Fairmont in Monaco at the hairpin.
Yes,
So we should be interesting to see that.
Brilliant.
And then from there, we're all the way to Barcelona, Madrid, Marbella.
Lovely. Can people follow it on social media?
Yeah, so we'll be putting stuff out on Yiannimize social media everywhere, whilst where we're going and when we're going to arrive. But the start will be absolutely crazy, and we've got some friends of the brand, I will call it, that are coming to show their cars on the Sunday morning. You don't really want to miss that. There's some seriously Really nice cars coming.
So on the way, does anyone get up to anything they shouldn't do?
No, not really. To be
They
fair,
all pretty much cruise down.
Make sure you
Yeah.
behave on the Swiss motorways.
Yes, I've done that a few times.
Behave.
Yeah, and the French motorways. To be fair,
The French
So,
can be
yeah.
forgiving, but not. They tend to be forgiving. It's a bit like the Italians. If you're driving a Ferrari, they're very forgiving. Otherwise, they can be a bit brutal.
Yeah.
Things you go over there, and it's like, obviously, we're just sort of used to horrible roads covered in potholes. You look constantly scanning the road. You get to France and Switzerland, and it's just
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no, I did 3,000 miles. And I don't think I saw a single pothole. Yeah, and I just stopped looking for them because the roads are perfect.
So the brand deal you were doing with the highways agency is now cancelled. But yeah, look, it's great people,
Yeah.
great networking, great roads like you've
Yeah.
described, and
Great stop off, great cities.
great cities, great
Yeah.
stop offs,
Brilliant.
great hotels, and that's the whole idea.
Brilliant. Some people can come out and see you off.
Yeah, on Sunday, the plan is to leave and start leaving at 10 o'clock from Mercedes-Benz World.
That will be really cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Right then. Okay, so Fraser, I suppose we should give you a little bit of time on your Nurburgring stories. How was it
Brilliant.
Was
and
it?
I will be going back in August.
once you've fixed your car?
I wouldn't say fixed. I'd say upgraded.
Upgraded.
Yeah.
He's got a
crikey.
list. He's got a list of
Shopping.
upgrades
Here he
already.
goes.
He's
Yeah,
been
I've
on,
got a shopping
he's been
list
on the
now.
internet this morning.
I
hasn't
need
he?
to go and get some work done, really. But yeah, great.
It was good fun, was it?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm glad I've ticked that off the list.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you can go back to Nurburgring. Would you try any other tracks?
Do you know what? I'd consider stopping off at Spa on the way to the Nurburgring. Yeah.
I think I prefer Spa, but I think it's probably less you can do there.
The thing is, when you're at, the way I would describe it is the track's so big, there's 3 or 4 towns in the middle of it. And you drive around all these towns, and every restaurant, every driveway, every supermarket, all of them, it's just full of track cars everywhere. And
That's what it's geared for,
yeah,
right?
it's
That's the whole-
actually rarer to see someone in a normal car there. Like, every traffic jam is just a GT3, put M3, it's just great.
Mecca.
It's great. Yeah, that's how I would describe it.
Yeah.
Brilliant. If you haven't been, you need to go. Even if you just watch, got to go.
Right, okay. Now, since we've got you with us, I wanted to ask a couple of questions. Tell us 2 things you couldn't have predicted when you started and the hardest thing you found about running a business.
Oh,
No pressure, because everyone at home is going to look at this and think, right, that's how I run a business.
Yeah.
2 things I didn't predict.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. Very difficult. Throughout all the businesses I've owned and everything that's gone on, it's very difficult. I've been hit left, right, and centre with the economy,
Yeah.
the crashes, technology. I mean, obviously, my previous businesses were in technology, and I think one of the things I probably underestimated was recycling. I think the recycling element of technology was heavily underestimated.
Really?
And then, yeah, because 2007, I did a lot of work around throwing away mobile phones and recycling them. And it was very underestimated how much technology is sat in people's drawers
Yes.
and
Yeah.
phones. So that was a massive thing. And one of the biggest challenges throughout running any business is people.
Yes.
Getting the right people to work with, creating the partnerships.
Do you know any?
You struggling, are you?
Yeah.
Can't get the staff, can you?
But people is important. People are very important.
So
Very
yes,
important.
for me personally, throughout of my working journey for the businesses I own, I always believed in 3 Ps. So first thing is the people.
Yep.
You get the right people, that's key. Absolutely key. You've got to work with the right people. The second is the process. Whatever the business does, if you get the process right, that's key. So once you've got that right, you've got your people right, you've got your process right. The product or the service is irrelevant.
Yeah.
It's the last thing.
Yeah.
And you see big businesses and small businesses grow. You see small businesses grow because they've got the right people around them.
Yeah. You can, and you see plenty of products fail, even though they should have made
You
it.
can have the best product, but if you haven't got the right process and the right people,
It's never going to work.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it'll resurface 2 years later with the company doing it in the right way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That tends to be the case, doesn't it?
So first thing, most new startups, most new technology companies, most companies will go, we need to recruit the right person.
Yeah.
They don't say that for no reason.
Yeah.
It's people.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Oh, nice. I think that's a good tip for running your own business.
Yeah.
Invest in people and take time with the process, and then the product take care for itself.
Absolutely. So, talking about auctions, when's your next one?
So the next auction we have is on the 20th of July. We're at Windsor View Lakes. So by the time this comes out, our lot list will be nearly complete. I would imagine we'll be about 170 cars online.
All variety.
All variety, very eclectic. So we tend to be anything from £5,000 to £500,000. So you should have something for someone anywhere. Equally, if you've never been in an auction before, please do come along. There's no harm coming along, understanding the process if you're thinking about purchasing a classic car, or indeed if you're going to sell a classic car. So if you come along with Wednesday, Thursday, Friday viewing days, all at Windsor View Lakes, Saturday auctions themselves, you can see all of those lot lists on the new Historics website, historics.co.uk. And with a bit of luck, we'll see all of you there, and the weather will be absolutely lovely, of course.
Yeah, usually is.
So thank you very much. See you there. And thank you very much to Fraser.
Thank you.
And thank you very much to Bad for coming in.
You're welcome.
And next time we'll go easier on you with the modern classics.
Please do.
Yeah?
Promise.
Thank you.